Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. I've got 3 stories for you. All these stories are linked and we will discuss how they are linked in the last part. My story number 1 is about Prayagraj. 2021, the Prayagraj administration had bulldozed residences in Prayagraj, calling it unofficial. The court slammed them. The Supreme Court slammed them. We'll talk about that. The second story is about a journalist in Assam who was put behind bars under the SC/ST laws. The court slammed Assam government saying that you are misusing SC/ST laws. Let's talk about that. The third topic that I want to talk to you about is about Kunal Kamra. Kunal Kamra says that you know what? The government is killing creativity and killing artists. Let's talk about these 3 topics. Let's get right into the show. Before I get into my stories, you see, my interest is not to sit here and give you my opinion, because you don't need my opinion. You have an opinion. You know how things are. You know what things are happening around you. My interest here is to ensure that you air your opinion. Let me know what your opinion is. And it is very important for our society to understand and then react. It is very, very important for our society. And my effort is to ensure that in whatever small way, I can get that change happening. You see, I'll give you an example of a frog. Not the frog in the well. No. You see, if you take a frog and put the frog into ice cold water, in minutes, the frog, its body will adjust to the temperature. And the frog will be absolutely comfortable in that cold water. Then we put fire under that cold water and start boiling that cold water. The frog will adjust itself to the rising temperature. And the frog will be comfortable in that cold water till the cold water boils and boils all the internal organs of the frog, and the frog dies. The frog will never understand nor notice the temperature of the water getting high. You see, somewhere down the line, I feel as a society, we are like that frog. We kind of are oblivious of what is happening around us. Because we are oblivious of what is happening around us, or we don't want to react on what is happening around us, we are that frog. We are comfortable in whatever environment we are put in. Today it's cold, tomorrow it will be boiling hot. The point is, the society that we know ourselves to be, that society should not be destroyed because our inability to react, our inability to participate, our inability to be conscious of whatever is happening around us. That's the reason why these editorials, and that's the reason I plead you, I humbly ask you to react to whatever the story I'm going to put in front of you. Okay. So let's get to the story. The first story is from Uttar Pradesh. You see, there was a demolition in Prayagraj. This happened in 2021. It went to court. The High Court kind of said it was okay because there is nothing illegal about it. The Supreme Court reacted very differently. The Supreme Court said that the demolition of some houses by the local authorities in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj in 2021 was inhuman and illegal. The Supreme Court said that high-handed manner in which this was done shocks our conscience. The Supreme Court called this act illegal. The Supreme Court directed Prayagraj Development Authority to pay 10 lakhs each to those affected. While talking about this, The judge said that the case shocks our conscience. Residential premises of the appellants have been high-handedly demolished. Carrying out demolition in such a manner shows insensitivity on the part of the Statutory Development Authority. The authorities, and especially the Development Authority, must remember that the right to shelter is also integral part of Article 21 of the Constitution of India. This is what they said. They said that the way the houses were demolished were absolutely high-handed. You are not demolishing the house because, this is my inference, you are not. Why would some authority be high-handed? Because they were doing it with a vengeance. They were doing it to harm somebody. That is why you take a high-handed decision. Now let me tell you the story of this entire background. I'll give you a background of this story. You see, the plot's name, which these bulldozers came and started disrupting the house, started breaking the house, this plot name was called Nazul. It was a government land for public purposes. Now, the government had leased this land in 1906, and this land was leased to a person called Shakir Hussain. Like I said, March 19th, 1906. This was done by the then Allahabad district collector. The lease was 30 years initially and was renewable for 2 successive periods, which means it was a 90 years lease. So first 30 years, then again 30 years, then again 30 years. It was leasable. It could be leased for 2 successive years after the 30 years. Subject to an aggregate of 90 years, which is what I told you. So 90 years they could lease. Now, according to the petitioner, Zakir Hussain transferred the land rights to Kulsum Begum, Mehbooba Begum, Kanaz Fatima in 1960. With the district magistrate's permission, later Kulsum Begum and Kanaz Fatima transferred the right to Haji Firoz Ahmad, the father of the gangster turned politician Atiq Ahmad. And this gangster turned politician was gunned down in April 2023. While the third lady, Mehbooba Begum, sold her properties elsewhere. So the property in which this bulldoze action happened then belonged to this gangster turned politician called Atiq Ahmad. That is why maybe the authorities acted a little high-handed. The fact remains that the land, no court has commented on the veracity of the action. In fact, now the Supreme Court also is not commenting on the land rights. The Supreme Court is not saying that the land belonged to these people, why did you bulldoze? No, that is not what the Supreme Court is saying. But the Supreme Court the question is the way it was done. And that's the question even I want to ask today. You are a government authority. You are doing your job maybe. But there is a way you enforce that action of yours. If that action is enforced in a civil and a legal fashion, then one understands. But when the action is enforced as if you are doing it to teach somebody a lesson, then is that actually a legal action? Is that how a government should perform? What were you doing here when you use high-handed methods to destroy an entire residence or whatever, entire group of residents? Because possibly it belonged to a gunda. Yeah, it was unofficial, possibly. That also true. So that's the point number one. While talking about this, the High Court also pointed out on this particular video that you see in front of you. This didn't happen in this particular Nazul plot. It didn't happen here. It happened in Ambedkar Nagar, UP's Ambedkar Nagar. That too was an administrative action which was kind of clearing the residentials. And the court said, in court's words, they said there is a recent video in which small huts were being demolished by bulldozers. There's a small girl running away from the demolished hut with a clutch of books in her hand. It has shocked everyone. A small girl, like you see in the video, running with a clutch of books in her hand. Is this a democracy? Is this the country we want to hand it over to our next generation? Somewhere down the line, a politician only takes action when he knows that his voters appreciate this action. A politician acts the way his voters want him to act. So are we therefore saying that as a society, we like to see others' misery? We like to see when somebody's house is demolished, we enjoy it in some form? Is that what we are? Is that the society that we are? That's the question I want you to ask yourself today. Do we enjoy? Is there a sadistic pleasure that we derive when somebody's house is knocked off? When you see that child running, is there a sadistic pleasure that we derive as a society? Because if it wasn't that, then a politician wouldn't have dare done this kind of act. And the problem is, this bulldozer technique now is spreading all over the country. Because somewhere down the line, every politician started thinking that the moment there is a bulldozer strategy, a bulldozer law that happens, the crowd feels very good. The crowd feels that the judgment is instant. This is what I remember used to happen in Mumbai during the encounter days. Acha ho gaya, maar dala. Acha ho gaya, shoot kiya. All of us used to say, and then we saw encounter specialists becoming bigger gangsters than the gangsters themselves. Some of them. Some of the encounter specialists. I won't say all. What Bombay had to face those days, Bombay, not Mumbai. What Bombay had to face those days. Let me come to the next story. This journalist from Assam. Now, Dilwar Hussain Mazumdar, a Guwahati court pulled up Assam police saying that the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocity Act is not intended to use and make arbitrary arrest. You want to arrest a person, Dilwar Hussain Mazumdar, so you use the Atrocity Act, the SC/ST Atrocity Act, and arrest him? Kuch bhi. I'm not saying this, the court is saying this. Court is asking. You see, last week they say Mazumdar was arrested twice and got bail in both the cases. In the first case, he was accused of violating SC/ST Prevention Atrocity Act for allegedly making offensive remark against a security guard at a bank where he was covering protest earlier on in the week, and the court of the Chief Judicial Magistrate, Kamrup Metropolitan, granted the journalist bail in the first case on March 26th. Mazumdar, a reporter of Assam-based digital portal, The Cross Current, known for his investigative reportage on the state government, has been arrested March 25th after he went to cover a protest against Assam Cooperative Apex Bank. Assam Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma is the director of ACAB and the BJP MLA Biswajit Pukhan is the chairman. The grounds of his arrest presented by the police was allegedly that the security guard statement clearly established that the accused verbally abused the complainant using offensive derogatory remarks involving the guard's caste, and it was intended to demean and insult the complainant. In the bail order, the court observed that he has not stated anything incriminating to the accused. This is the story. This journalist was covering a bank, which incidentally, the Chief Minister of Assam is a director, a Bharatiya Janata Party leader is a chairperson, and he was not writing kind words about the bank. There was a protest, he went to cover the protest. The guard and the journalist had a tiff, and the guard went and complained, he abused me on my caste. And the court says there is nothing that we find that he has used or said that should be seen as offense, or the SC/ST Atrocity Act be implemented. Now, the reason I am talking to you about this story is this is the fate of a journalist in India. You don't toe the government lines, you are made to toe the government lines. Now, mind you, I am not just talking about the Bharatiya Janata Party government per se, by the way. This is now spreading everywhere. Like I told you about the bulldozing case also. It is spreading to every state. This time, of course, it is Assam, which is a Bharatiya Janata Party government. And one, let me also tell you, Bharatiya Janata Party government cases are much more normally than another political party run government. But like I said, there are cases with Trinamool Congress also who have done the same. So I am not going to talk about one particular political party, but that being said, the case I am talking about is about Bharatiya Janata Party. This journalist was arrested, that too under SC/ST case, SC/ST atrocity case. The court said kuch hai hi nahi. You see, there are two things you are doing. A is you are weakening this scheduled caste, scheduled tribe atrocity case, atrocity prevention case. You are weakening that case, because if you use it for every other purpose to ensure that you put the person you want behind bars, if you use that, or to please your political masters, if the police starts using it, it will harm the scheduled caste, it will harm the scheduled tribe, it will harm their interest. Because if their laws are misused when the real case happens, a court will not see it seriously. Obviously. The boy who cries wolf story. Every day you cry wolf, and one day a real wolf comes, nobody is going to bother to look at you. And secondly, is this our law? Because it's not me saying this. I am not passing a judgment. It is the court who said that there is. Let me read it again. He has not stated anything incriminating against the accused. He has neither mentioned any word of abuse used by the accused or anything to suggest that they were criminally intimidated by him. This is what the bail order said. This is what the bail order observed. The court said it here. Okay, you just use the case. The court said you're misusing the law. You're misusing the law possibly for a political reason. You're misusing the law possibly because of a political master. A political master doesn't like you. Police will find a way to put you in. This is the way it looks. Otherwise, why would you misuse a law? You see, Kunal Kamra got his third summons. He cracked a joke on the deputy CM of Maharashtra. Like I told you last time, as a citizen, I never took that seriously because that was a comedian and that is his job. He was cracking a joke. He cracked a joke. Nobody took it seriously till such time that Shiva Sainiks went and ransacked that place, damaged that entire auditorium. Mind you, Shiva Sena is the government in Maharashtra. One of the part of the government in Maharashtra. There are three parts. One of them, Shiva Sena. They ransacked. The government, people who are in the government ransacked, took law and order in their own hands, ransacked a hall. Their leaders say anything against it? Did Maharashtra government come crashing down on them? Did the police come crashing down on them? They were arrested, I am not denying that. But end of the day, Kunal Kamra is the one that the entire system is gunning after. You see, like I showed you last time, comedians crack jokes. I'll give you a very interesting example. And I'll end this editorial with this. You see, R.K. Lakshman used to draw a lot of cartoons on Indira Gandhi. Lot of them. He used to make fun of Indira Gandhi. One fine day, somebody came and told him that, "Arey, listen, hello, Mr. Lakshman, you have been given Padma Bhushan. You have been given Padma Bhushan, and you know who recommended you? Mrs. Gandhi recommended you." Lakshman said, "हो ही नहीं सकता है. हो ही नहीं सकता. ऐसा कैसा? How will she give me Padma Bhushan? I have been making fun of her every day." But actually, you know what? Mrs. Gandhi recommended him for Padma Bhushan. And he got it. He was awarded the Padma Bhushan. The point that I'm trying to make is not start writing saying that I'm promoting Mrs. Gandhi, and all that is not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is this is how the relation between a critic, a cartoonist, a comedian, a politician should be. You see, every time a mimic goes on stage and does a mimicry of a star, the star feels very good. He is mimicked. Why is he mimicked? Because he is relevant. I know of film stars, superstars who have gone and begged of mimics to go and do their mimicry on the stage. Because every time that mimicry artist goes and does a mimicry of a star on the stage, that star gets relevant, the star gets attention. Likewise, it is good if you have comedians talking about you. You stay relevant. People don't go by what the comedian says, or comedians don't create your image. People do. The work that you do amongst the people in the society creates the image that you want. A comedian neither can build it nor damage it. But what a comedian or a cartoonist or a journalist can do is to ensure that you and your name stays relevant, which is very important to any person who is a celebrity or whatever you call it, a person who deals with who has a public life. It's important. What Kunal Kamra did for Mr. Eknath Shinde is actually good for Mr. Eknath Shinde. Is actually good for Mr. Eknath Shinde. What Eknath Shinde is doing back to Kunal Kamra is what is harming Mr. Eknath Shinde's image. Mr. Eknath Shinde was not seen as a person who is revengeful, was not seen as a person who would go back and, he was not seen as a person. I come from Thane. I know Eknath Shinde, the way I know his political career. I've seen his political career very closely. This was not what Eknath Shinde is. The way things are being handled, I think Eknath Shinde himself should think whether he wants all this happening around this case and whether he wants to wreck up this case the way it's being wrecked up. Kunal Kamra is a comedian. Let him be that. That's the point I wanted to make, and I wanted to review these three cases, what I just said. I wanted to figure out as to what do you think is happening in our society. I wanted to react. I wanted to let me know what your point of view is. Maybe reading your point of view, maybe some politicians will realize how their voters are thinking. That's the objective of this editorial. Till I see you next time, that's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.